Hello everyone, welcome to a Falling Down on the Random interview. I am interviewing today Olga from Pop and Prescott magazine. So Olga, how long have you been in the magazine industry?
Well, as you remember, Christian, I met you on my very first issue. So it's been over 4 years.
4
Time
years.
flies like no tomorrow.
And now we're on the third issue.
No, now we are on the 12th issue.
12 issue.
Well, it's 4 years. So now I'm doing the 12th issue.
So has it gotten easier to print and doing the magazine from early beginnings?
It's not about even easy. I believe it just got more exciting.
Okay.
It's never easy. I would say like nothing really that is good in life is easy, I would say, right?
Right.
So everything that is done with love and creativity, it's a process. Any process takes time, and any process is step by step. So it's exciting. I would say it's a very exciting journey.
That's interesting.
Yes, very exciting.
And what issue is this one?
This is number 10.
Number 10. And who is this guy?
This is His Majesty King Kigeli V of Rwanda,
Okay.
and he was a king in exile. And sure enough, I interviewed him in August, and we published his video interview and everything, which you can watch on YouTube, on Nebraska Journal. We published the interview on the 16th of October, and a week later he died. And Nebraska Journal was the official last interview that His Majesty did with us.
Oh, wow.
And, it was actually very moving and surreal at the same moment to realize that, because now that we are part of his archive and history, it's basically it's very unusual to feel that way, because you could never imagine that, you're talking to a person 1 month and then he's gone. And the surrealism of the whole situation was that he was King Kigeli. He was such an extraordinary human being that I wish there were more interviews done with him when he was alive. But because this was the only cover he ever did, this is basically the most official print and publication he ever got in his life.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And how did you know about him, and how did you get him to agree to do an interview with you?
Well, I belong to the Order of St. John of Jerusalem,
Okay.
and being a knight, a dame of the order, I have very interesting people that I connect with and I work with in the royal circuits, in the noble circles. And I was introduced to him through his official person who represented him, and we organized this amazing interview with His Majesty King Kigeli V. And I feel like that was one of the most biggest highlights of my journalistic career.
Wow.
Yes, so that was very surreal and very interesting.
How long have you been a journalist?
About 4 years. But I feel in a way, I always was a journalist because I always liked stories. So you can be an official journalist, but I was unofficial journalist because I would write notes in my notebooks about things I would see that were interesting.
Okay.
And I remember going through my old papers, I'm like, I have so much stuff that I want to get rid of, and I was starting reading it, and I'm like, well, I wish there was an exit for it. It's like, a lot of talented people like we have here in this industry, they need an access and they need a way of getting themselves out there.
I agree.
And it's incredible how a lot of people have so much in them to share.
I totally agree with that. So how would you describe Pop and Pesca? Is it a cultural magazine? Is it a fashion magazine? Or all different types?
It's a lifestyle It's basically stands for Popular Impressive Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
So the combination of three words. But I always kind of had double meaning for this because pop is pop culture that we're all in, right?
Okay.
Impressionism is one of my most favorite ways of art, of movements. As you remember, impressionistic movement
Right.
was not taken very well by a lot of people, but then it took over.
Okay.
So it's like anything new, I trademarked the name because it's new, nobody has it. But now everybody knows Papa Fresca what it is. But it's the same, because I was actually, I remember people were like, what is it called? And they were like asking me. And I said, don't worry, you'll get used to it. It's same as like, people get used to Andy Warhol, Basquiat, those are very unusual names, but
Right.
you know, when you are consistent in what you're doing and you believe in yourself and people believe in you, it's getting there.
It's sort of like the same thing with when I created the name Falling Down on the Random. Like, I had a friend of mine go like, oh no, that name is stupid. People were like, you gotta change it, it's not good. And then all of a sudden I was like, I stuck with it, and then people go like, oh, Falling Down on the Random, what a cool name. Everybody's like, oh, such a cool name, you know, like so it. You have one person that will go, no, it's not good, and then like you have thousands of people going, like, oh yeah, that's the name, you know, like that's great. Sort of like Neon Chaos. Like, everybody got stuck with Neon Chaos. So,
I mean, actually, you know, that name really stuck to me because I felt this is really cool concept that you're doing.
right.
And it's just amazing how the process, and I've known you for years, like we both grew professionally so much, so it's just incredible to see the rise of our work.
Right. That's exactly.
I feel it is, and it's the same thing happened that, you know, like Andy Warhol and Picasso and Manet and Van Gogh, it was all those, and also one of my favorites, Modigliani. So they were all at this era where everything was happening at that time. So I feel in a way we are a new era of things.
Yes.
When we are, like location hasn't even changed yet. Well, we're in Chelsea now,
Right.
at this great space.
Well, we're here at 3 Squared in Chelsea, owned by Marina Dushkinov,
A great girl, by the way.
a great girl, by the way. And so, how long have you been a fashion designer?
That I started, I started the concept of my paintings printed on canvas, silk and cotton a while back because I always loved quilt.
Okay.
And I always watched my grandmother putting little different pieces of cloth together, and I was growing back in St. Petersburg, so I was hanging out with the dancers and the performers backstage because my mom used to work for the Kirov Ballet Theater and Opera. So I watched so many things come to life, costumes and puzzles of decorations. So for me it was all like a collage, a kaleidoscope, and that's another reason why I call it Pop and Fresca. It's a kaleidoscope of things. So since I love different ways of art, I have like, I love impressionism, but also pop and culture and some realism. So I put a bizarre amount of paintings together, and I put them in a collage, and I just decided to put it in a quilt from what I've painted in the past. So I had a collection of over 100 pieces. So 100 pieces of my art, oil and canvas that I had it. I'm like, well, how can I put it together? And I remember I was doing a photo shoot for a magazine cover a while back. And I put it together on one canvas, and I said I want to be wrapped in that canvas. So that would represent me and my art. Because first we were like, well, we should do one art pieces behind you and then two pieces behind you. And I'm like, well, that's so boring, and I've seen so many photo shoots like that. How can I put all my paintings around me together in that shoot? So I figured out I'll put it together like a quilt. So that's what I did. And then I remember like me and my mom, we were like trying to figure out, okay, so what goes with what? I'm like, ah, forget it, just put all together. So I put Marilyn Monroe, I put like sunflowers and birds. And sure enough, you know, some pieces of my puzzle on pocketbooks, on bags, and clothes actually worked very well.
Very nice. I do like your design.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This is one of yours, right?
Yeah, that's one of mine. It's so you can see like here. There's like I love Venice. I know I've been to Venice, but I've seen so many pictures of it. So I kind of like studied the architecture and
Wow.
and the birds. And there's like exotic birds. Like I love parrots. Parrot represents my company. So Popka, which is the beginning and the end of the word, is parrot translation from from Russian to English. So there's so many like meaning to that name. That's why I kind of stuck with that, like you stuck with your name, because there's so much significance there that I know how it was built up, how everything came together. And it's like a quilt in a way. The whole name is a quilt of my work. so since I do the quilt with my artwork, and this is like birds, I did this. So I put this piece actually. This piece I also put like on bathing suits, and the green dress I did in velvet just this past fashion week was a lot of fun. And actually Serafina Belafonte wore it. It was organized by Malena Belafonte. So it was a great event. And as you know, just to mention quite a little detail, there was this great children's song played, which was written by Harry Belafonte, her father-in-law. So, and he is celebrating his 90 years old. And you know, like when I saw this kid.
So we're back again with Olga and Brana from Pop and Prescott magazine, and then a Falling Down interview. So where we left off was, how did you get started with the magazine?
So it was a very interesting story. I have a lot of people that are artists, and I always had a passion for them, and heard about their difficulties to get into publications. And you know, it's very rough and tough this time.
It's very competitive, yeah.
Very competitive, and the models too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wrote a story about Amadea Modigliani, which was too long, probably over 2 pages.
Okay.
So the publication that I offered to refused to publish it.
I've heard this before.
Yes. So what I did is I said, okay, so I'll try and I will put together my own publication and publish all of my friends that are artists. And that's how it started. I published all my artists, and I published story about Amadea Modigliani as it was, all of it. And since then, I've been working with amazing artists and amazing models and creators and stylists. And Brana, actually, my house model for Pop and Journal, and also our media partner.
Yes, I am very happy.
And we've been having an amazing relationship. And Brana, tell me about like your experience since you started working with us. Like, what did you like the most to working with a whole group?
Well, I like the atmosphere. It's very positive. It's very creative, energizing. So you don't feel held back by boundaries. You feel like supported, like your ideas won't be met with, dismissal automatically, and that's just very important if you're in any creative field.
And then being a model, how do you think that would affect your career? Because I know it's a very tough industry. What do you think is important for you to come forward and work with other publications like ours and maybe other publications as well?
For me personally?
Yes.
I think just more experience, more exposure, and continuing to do good work, and probably just growing myself and my own skills so that I reach a wider audience.
That's true.
Yeah,
So
and
the-
growing with Pop and Prescott Journal as it grows, and that's always a good thing.
Good combination. So this is the whole purpose of Pop and Prescott Journal, is work with people like Brana and see each other grow. It's basically a very mutual, beneficial way of bringing each other together, because at the end of the day, it's about developing our personality and talents.
Exactly.
And
So-
that's how it is.
So ending the interview, where can we find Poppin' Preska? Like, can we find it at newsstands or any stores?
I have actually Papa Riska Journal on the Upper West Side. I work with a few kiosks, and you can find it online always. And also, it's a limited print, so you can either go to popandpreskajournal.org, which is POPIMPRESSKA journal.org, and popandpreska.com. And also, because we're linked with Brana's website as well, so you can also find us with her, because we're doing a lot of mutual projects together. And Brana, what's your website?
BranaDane.com.
That's right, and we're very fortunate to have amazing people like Brana, because our magazine is about people, about making them shine and grow together with them.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, anything else you want to say?
I would say keep your dreams alive and always believe in yourself no matter what. And if you have critics, you can listen to them and listen whatever they say, but keep on doing whatever you're doing. Brana, what do you think?
I say go with your gut, and if things change, go with the flow, and just experience.
And we want to say thank you to our amazing friend Christian for having us here. And the dog is howling in the background. We love animals. Actually, Poppin' Preska is a big love of animals, and we do a lot of things with them, and we're advocates. And we love our planet, so we encourage people to take care of their local shelters and maybe adopt through a shelter.
That's great.
And yes, falling down the random. And thank you, Christian, for having us. And you have an amazing show, and we're looking forward to do more with you. And thank you for letting us to voice our opinions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olga and Brana. Falling down the random, yo, Poppin' Preska and Brana Dane.
Ciao.
Take care.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella.